In early 2026, Japan stunned the world by imposing strict export controls on 110 Chinese tech companies, marking one of the most significant moves in the ongoing global technology rivalry. The announcement came after months of mounting international pressure and behind-the-scenes negotiations, signaling a dramatic escalation in the tech standoff between East and West. The new restrictions specifically targeted advanced semiconductor manufacturing technology, including the latest generation of chip-making tools and materials that are critical for producing high-performance microchips. This move, justified as a national security measure to prevent military use, effectively cut off Chinese firms from essential Japanese equipment and materials. The government cited growing concerns about the potential for sensitive technology to be diverted for military applications, emphasizing the need to protect both national and allied interests. Japan, long a key supplier of specialized chemicals and precision tools for chip making, leveraged its unique position in the global supply chain. Its dominance in areas like photoresists, etching gases, and ultra-pure chemicals made these controls especially impactful, as few other countries could fill the gap. The controls, coordinated with Western allies such as the United States and the Netherlands, sent shockwaves through China's ambitious Made in China 2020 signs, Kardenen Nedim, Portsafar en Pakuris Tididen Santeyijim, Ondines Ropzig des Kabradimson, Poritan Zander Gismansan plans avoid of my plans. Farkani Spokivit makers faced immediate shortages, and global supply chains braced for ripple effects. Prime Minister Sanai Takichi's government signaled a decisive alignment with the U.S., prioritizing strategic security over economic ties with China. The move was widely interpreted as a clear message that Japan was willing to bear economic costs to uphold its security commitments and maintain technological leadership. The targeted list included everything from advanced lithography machines to high-purity gases, as well as other critical components required for next-generation chip fabrication. By carefully selecting which technologies to restrict, Japan made it clear this was a calculated, not blanket restriction, aimed at maximizing strategic impact while minimizing unnecessary collateral damage to global trade. The fallout was immediate. Chinese firms scrambled to find alternative suppliers, while diplomatic tensions soared. Emergency meetings were held in Beijing, and Chinese officials began exploring countermeasures. By crossing this line, Japan set the stage for a fierce Chinese retaliation aimed at its own economic Achilles heel, raising the stakes in the global tech war and leaving the world watching for the next move in this high-stakes confrontation. China's response was swift and strategic, restricting rare earth exports to Japan, a move that sent shockwaves through global markets and signaled a new phase in the economic standoff between the two Asian giants. This calculated decision threatened to cripple Japanese manufacturing, as factories dependent on these critical minerals ground to a halt, and assembly lines stood eerily silent. Rare earths are the unsung heroes of modern technology, essential for everything from electric vehicles and smartphones to advanced weaponry like fighter jets. China, controlling over 80% of the world's supply, holds a commanding position in this market. Customs delays and new licensing hurdles effectively choked off the flow of these minerals, sending prices soaring overnight. Japanese industries, already under pressure, now faced a full-blown crisis as panic spread across boardrooms and factory floors. Beijing justified its export controls as a matter of national security, echoing the very language Japan had used to defend its own semiconductor restrictions. The tit-for-tat logic was unmistakable. The message from Beijing was clear: if Japan could weaponize its dominance in semiconductors, then China would not hesitate to weaponize the minerals that underpin the entire ecosystem of modern technology. Japanese automakers and electronics giants, suddenly cut off from critical inputs, scrambled to find alternatives. Engineers raced to develop new materials, while executives urgently sought new suppliers from other countries. The rare earth squeeze exposed just how vulnerable Japan's high-tech economy was to Chinese leverage, revealing a hidden Achilles heel in the nation's industrial might. As the world watched, it became clear that the global supply chain had become a new front in the escalating tech war, where minerals, chips, and innovation are now as strategic as any weapon. For Japan, the rare earth crisis of 2026 was déjà vu. In 2010, a maritime dispute led China to halt rare earth exports, sending prices skyrocketing and exposing Japan's dangerous dependence. That shock spurred a national effort to diversify supply, reduce reliance on China, and build strategic stockpiles. By the mid-2020s, Japan had cut its dependence from over 90% to about 60%, but the latest crisis revealed the limits of those efforts. While Japan sourced more light rare earths elsewhere, it remained almost entirely reliant on China for processing heavy rare earths, essential for high-performance magnets. The complex, polluting nature of refining kept China in control of this critical supply chain link. Once again, Japan faced the same vulnerability it had tried to escape for over a decade. Japan's first defense was its stockpiles, reserves built up since 2010 by both government and industry. These buffers bought time, preventing immediate factory shutdowns and panic. As reserves were drawn down, Japan raced to secure non-Chinese supplies and raised the issue at the G7, seeking global support. Meanwhile, Japan's investment in recycling rare earths from discarded electronics offered a small but growing domestic source. The circular economy strategy aimed to turn electronic waste into a strategic asset, but recycling met only a fraction of demand. Stockpiles by nature are a stopgap. They can't sustain industry indefinitely. The crisis underscored both the value and the limits of Japan's preparedness. With reserves dwindling, the pressure to diversify supply chains intensified. Japan's search for rare earth alternatives accelerated, building on years of global outreach. Its partnership with Australia's Lynas secured a stable supply of light rare earths, proving the value of reliable allies. Recent investments in France's Carester targeted the midstream processing bottleneck, aiming to create a China-free supply chain. Japan also explored mining projects in Africa and India, but new mines take years to develop. The most ambitious effort, a deep-sea mining mission near Minamotori Island, tapping seabed mud rich in rare earths. If successful, this could provide a domestic source, but economic and environmental challenges remain daunting. These global and domestic ventures highlight the difficulty of breaking China's decades-long dominance. The race for resource independence is on, but the finish line is still distant. Despite progress, Japan's dependence on China for heavy rare earths remains a critical weakness. Elements like dysprosium and terbium are essential for EV motors and wind turbines, technologies central to Japan's future. China's grip on processing means even new sources, like deep-sea mud, would still need refining abroad. Building non-Chinese refineries is slow, costly, and fraught with environmental hurdles. This midstream gap leaves Japan's top industries, especially automakers, exposed to Chinese pressure. Without domestic or allied refining, Japan risks having resources it can't fully use. Closing this supply chain gap is now Japan's most urgent challenge. The resource standoff has inflamed broader geopolitical tensions in the Indo-Pacific. Minamotori Island, now a deep-sea mining hotspot, has become a flashpoint, with Chinese naval vessels shadowing Japanese survey ships. Both sides accuse each other of provocation, fueling a narrative war and deepening distrust. The rare earth dispute is now intertwined with issues of sovereignty, security, and regional rivalry. Japan's push for supply chain independence is seen in Beijing as containment, prompting further economic pressure. This cycle of escalation risks miscalculation and confrontation in contested waters. The economic conflict is now a strategic one, with global implications. The ongoing tech and resource conflict between China and Japan has left both nations exposed to significant and growing risks. As global powers, their economic fates are deeply intertwined, yet increasingly vulnerable to disruption. The world is watching closely as tensions rise, knowing that the consequences could ripple far beyond Asia. For Japan, a prolonged ban on rare earth exports could do more than just slow production. It could cripple entire sectors. The electric vehicle, wind energy, and advanced electronics industries all depend on these critical materials. Without them, Japan's ambitious economic and climate goals could be derailed, threatening jobs, innovation, and its position as a global tech leader. China, meanwhile, is not immune. Its drive to become a semiconductor powerhouse relies heavily on Japanese technology and expertise. The standoff, therefore, is a double-edged sword. Any disruption in cooperation could stall China's own ambitions, affecting everything from consumer electronics to national security. The weaponization of supply chains is now accelerating global efforts to diversify and reduce dependence on China. Countries and companies worldwide are scrambling to secure alternative sources, invest in new technologies, and rethink their supply networks. This shift is already reshaping the world's industrial map, with new alliances and trade routes emerging. Rare earths are more than just commodities. They are the backbone of green energy, advanced electronics, and modern military technology. In the 21st century, Whoever controls these resources wields enormous power, influencing everything from clean energy transitions to global security. The ongoing standoff between Tokyo and Beijing serves as a stark warning about the fragility of global supply chains in an era defined by rivalry and uncertainty. Every negotiation, every policy shift, sends shockwaves through international markets and boardrooms. If tensions continue to escalate, the world could face damaging economic decoupling, with industries forced to choose sides and economies suffering from lost opportunities. For now, meaningful de-escalation seems distant, and the risks only grow. As of January 31, 2026, the future of critical industries and the global economy itself hangs in the balance, awaiting the next move in this high-stakes game.